Hello everyone. This is another response for Bobby Guess that left a comment or response to my last video that I responded to him, a rebuttal. Thank you, Bobby, for this. I think I need to read before for others your response. Thank you for your response, Ali. My rebuttal as the devil's advocate is as follows. You neglect some facts. Jews didn't start out in Israel. They came west from the Euphrates region as a tribe, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe north of the Twin Rivers. My memory fails me in this instance. There was already a people occupying the Canaan area, and they coexist peacefully for centuries with the newcomers until assimilation or the original occupants were ostracized and moved on. It wasn't wars that decimated the country. It was chopping down all the trees that did that. The cedars, the cypress, among the many species of trees native to the land that were used by migrants to build their cities and towns. These people needed the wood for fuel and construction materials. You chop down trees, you change the land. Purchased legally? Somebody is feeding you a line, Ali. How can you construe the annexation of eastern Jerusalem and the Golan Heights as legal? A piece of paper does not make it legal to take what is not yours. Israel evacuated settlements in the Gaza Strip and the Sinai. Why would they do that if it was legal? Because the international community condemned it as illegal, quite probably. A settlement outpost is nothing but a fort, like in the Old West. Land between the outposts, the main areas of legal occupation, soon to be resettled with immigrants based on a religious belief. Get the legal papers ready, and then it's mine. Rhetoric is not the way for civilized man. That's out-and-out thievery. This ongoing process of a settlement by Israel is condemned as illegal by the United Nations, the United States, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom, to name a few. Everybody's wrong and you guys are right, huh? Come on, man, that's nonsense. The free world says Israel is wrong, but what does that matter, huh? Lol. Come on, Ali. You can't be blind to the world's opinion and beliefs. That's silly and will only lead to more problems down the road. Seems crazy to me when politics, religions, and legislates are manipulated to validate actions I get suspicious. I believe in common sense, not propaganda. Common sense says you don't tug on Superman's cape. World opinion is against these resettlement tactics, and I hope that someday this us against the world nonsense soon ends. Heed your fellow man. The world's getting smaller, and we will eventually need each other to survive. I ain't no expert, far from it, but the way I see it, you guys are in the wrong. That being said, I still love you guys. I just wished you weren't so radical about trying to claim a piece of the world for yourselves. You're wrong in how you do it. Assimilate, don't agitate. For those that say it's the promised land from God, I have nothing but pity. I see no difference between men. Any God that says so is an aberration of man himself. People say God created us in his own image. I say we created God in our own image, not the other way around. I don't think too much of religion, Ali. Boy oh boy, that's quite a spell. I just went through this rebuttal. It's an interesting conundrum, to say the least. What's needed in that entire area is a benevolent despot. I'll do it if I ask politely. If not, I'll stick to fishing. That ain't as complicated as politics and people. Peace, brother Bobby, guys. Okay, thank you, Bobby. Now, I think you, Bobby, I think you have some kind of, confusion of things. First of all, the origin of the Jews, of the Israelites, that's how they were called back then in Israel, is not so clear-cut. There's no clear evidence for coming from other places, because the tribes that were there, tribes were all over the world at that time, that ancient time, haven't left us much evidence that the culture was not progress at that time to leave us written material. The first written material for this area is the Bible that the Israelites left. So they were the first read written society, civilization. So from that we can construct an history narrative or something, and what we know is based upon that. But archaeology and other evidence to the origin of the Jews is not known, and we can only say that the first culture, the first civilization that we can say that was staying as that in this land was the Israelites, and from historic point of view, from the Second Temple, because before that, again, it's only the Bible that said it. There's no outside evidence for real outside evidence for the other stories in the Bible. So from the Second Temple, a few hundred years before Christ, we can construct an historic story, a narrative. So this is one thing about the ancient time. Now, you mix the times but before that, yes, you mix the times because you talked about woods that, how you said it, woods that decimated the country, the land. Well, I was talking about the 19th century, not the ancient times. In the ancient times, you're mixing times and you're mixing, I think, Canada for the land of Israel, because woods are not here for constructing constructing houses or to warm the places, because it's a hot and warm country. It's a Mediterranean country and with desert in the south. So you use wood. They were using woods, of course, and they were importing from the Lebanon wood. But basically they were living. Many of them lived in tents, and many others lived in houses in stone. From you can see the Jerusalem stone in Judea, and so woods is not the thing. But I was talking about the ruined land of Israel in the 19th century upon the memoirs of Mark Twain that visited the country, and it was after wars and neglect and for centuries. So if you want to blame chopping woods, it's the majority were Arabs back then in the 19th century here in Israel, the land of Israel. So this is the second second argument. But the main argument that I want to emphasize is you're confusing the times. I was talking about the late 19th century till 1947, the start of the Zionist movement until 1947. I haven't had the chance to continue what happened after that. So how do I know that you're confusing it? You are talking about the annexation of Eastern Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, Gaza Strip, and Sinai. This was only in 1967, 20 years after I finished with 1947, 20 years before. So, and you say, you asked rhetorically, purchase legally. I was talking about the Jews that came from exile, and they bought here purchased legally lands, and bought houses here, bought village and construct villages and towns under the rule of the Ottomans, and more of that under the rule of the British, the mandate. There was no Jews sovereign back then. There was no the British ruled the country and occupied it by the mandate that was given to them by the League of Nations in 1920. So after they occupied the land in 1917 in the First World War. So they purchased, the Jews that came here purchased the land legally. with the money. No, there's no annexation, no occupation, no by Jews, by the state of Israel was not exist at that time. I will continue to say to talk about it. I will get into 1967 and I will say what I think about it. But I was talking about until 1947, and no one can condemn it because the Jews came from exile and they came with nothing, and they tried to buy, and only they bought themselves and their knowledge and they developed the land. Yes, they developed the land. They flourished the economy and everything. And even after the Holocaust, after the 1945, these 2 years, they tried to come, and the British tried to stop them. But it's a different story. It's indeed a legal purchase of land. Legal purchase of land, with of course aspiration to become an independent state later. But no one was outsettled. No Palestinian was outsettled, was expelled, and was forced to move. The only people that were forced to move before that was the Jews. Before that, centuries and after that. So this is my basic arguments. And another thing, yes, you talked about benevolent, this despot. No, I'll stick with if you don't mind, with democracy, Bobby. Democracy is my preferable regime, if you want to say that. Well, you can fishing. It's a very nice leisure. Yes, complicated. That ain't as complicated as politics. The people who said yes, we are complicated. There's a complexity in this region, in this conflict. What I attempt to do is to clarify the complexity. And another thing, you talked about religion, Bobby. As I think, I agree with. I can agree with you 100%. I'm secular. And by the way, the majority of Jews in Israel are secular. They are proportionally, it's the largest secular society in the Middle East. Please remember it, because I also think there's a problem with the religious idea when they are when you translate it into politics. Everyone to its fate, of course. So. You can, of course, comment in this rebuttal to my response, and I will hope to continue later on. So until then, peace, brother. Take care.